Leo friends, here's the truth up front. It's sad, but you're about to be relocated into your destiny. This isn't just some passing phase or another horoscope headline, it's a threshold moment. You're standing at the invisible edge of something real, something written long ago into the blueprint of your soul. You may not see the full picture yet, but part of you already knows. The space you've been living in physically, emotionally, spiritually no longer fits who you're becoming. And that's not failure. That's growth. That's movement. That's purpose knocking on your inner door. This video didn't just appear in your feed. You didn't randomly click. Something guided you here, call it intuition, energy alignment, or divine timing, but you were meant to hear this today. And whether you're someone who watches horoscopes every week or just stumbled in looking for meaning, I want you to know, this moment is real. Something in your life is shifting. And you're not imagining it. Welcome to Eternal Mindfulness, a space where cosmic guidance, grounded wisdom, and spiritual empowerment meet. Around here, we don't do vague predictions or one-size-fits-all advice. What we offer is clarity, confirmation, and context, because real transformation doesn't come from guessing. It comes from recognizing the signals and choosing to act with awareness. Maybe you've been waking up at odd hours, feeling anxious for no reason. Maybe conversations that used to excite you now feel hollow. Maybe the spaces that once felt like home now make you feel like a stranger. If any of that sounds familiar, you're not broken. You're being called. You're being called away from the version of life that once sustained you but can no longer contain you. This isn't about leaving out of fear or frustration. It's about responding to a quiet pull, a soul-level whisper that says, it's time. Time to go. Time to let go. Time to grow. And I get it, change, even when it's spiritual and necessary, still comes with grief. Saying goodbye to what's familiar, even if it's no longer fulfilling, still stings. But here's what I need you to remember, you're not being punished. You're being upgraded. The space you're moving into, it's been waiting for you. The people you're about to meet, they've been aligned to find you. The version of you that's about to rise, she or he is stronger than you've ever let yourself believe. Before we dive deeper into what this relocation means for your sign energetically, emotionally, and practically, I want to take a moment to acknowledge you. Yes, you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for allowing yourself to show up today with an open heart. Every like, every comment, every time you share these videos, you're not just supporting a channel, you're helping create a sacred space for truth seekers like you. And trust me, Leo, what the universe is revealing right now is something you'll want to see through until the very end. So tell me in the comments, what has been pulling at you lately? What have you been quietly preparing to release? Your comment isn't just for use, it's an energetic declaration. Write it down, I'm ready for my relocation. Anchor it. Claim it. Speak it into motion. Because when destiny calls, you don't need to have the full plan. You just need to be willing to answer. And Leo, I believe you already have. Stay with me. Let's walk this path together. Leo, if you've been feeling restless lately, if your dreams have taken strange turns or your nights are filled with wakefulness that has no clear reason, it's not just stress, and it's not coincidence. These are signals, subtle but persistent, that something deeper is trying to speak through the noise. The air around you feels different, like it's grown heavier, or maybe tighter. The places that used to feel like home? They now seem too small, too quiet, too far removed from the person you're becoming. And that's not because you're broken. It's because something inside you is waking up. When a soul begins to shift, the outer world often feels like it's falling out of sync. You might find yourself sitting in familiar spaces but feeling like a stranger. The rhythm of your days may begin to lose meaning, and even the people around you, those you've known for years, may suddenly feel distant or disconnected. This isn't isolation. This is alignment in progress. Something internal is asking you to notice. To pause. To acknowledge that who you are now is not the same as who you were even 3 months ago. Astrologically, Leo is currently experiencing a powerful trine between the Sun, your ruling planet, and Pluto, the planet of transformation. This kind of alignment doesn't just whisper change, it pulls it from the roots. It doesn't knock politely. It rearranges your inner furniture. Pluto doesn't destroy for destruction's sake, it breaks down what no longer serves so that something more authentic can take its place. The version of you that has been silenced, minimized, or hidden for the sake of keeping peace or staying comfortable is now rising, and it wants to lead. In tarot, this energy echoes the reverse tower. And while that card often brings fear, in this position, it's not about chaos erupting outside of you. It's about silent reordering. Not a lightning strike, but a deep internal renovation. You're not falling apart. You're being reassembled, more stable, more honest, more aligned with your soul. But here's the part many people miss. When this inner remodeling begins, it doesn't come with clear instructions. There's no manual. No signpost. You simply start to feel unsettled. And that's where most people turn back. They try to fix the unease with distractions, with routines, with busyness. But for you, Leo, this discomfort isn't something to be numbed. It's something to be respected. Because growth, real, soul-level growth, is never convenient. It doesn't wait for your schedule to clear. It doesn't ask permission. It just begins. And the longer you try to resist it, the heavier it feels. Until one day, you look around and realize, it's not the world that's changed, it's you. You've outgrown the container you once needed. And now, life is gently, sometimes painfully, asking you to expand. This is where you get to choose: stay in what's familiar but false, or step into what's unknown but aligned. And it's okay if that choice feels overwhelming. You're not alone in this. In fact, millions are experiencing similar stirrings. You're part of a quiet wave of awakening, and this wave doesn't crash, it rises. So ask yourself honestly, have you changed, but your surroundings haven't caught up yet? Do you feel like you're being called to something, but can't quite name what it is? If so, you're not imagining it. You're sensing it. And the best thing you can do right now is honor that sensing. Listen to it. Let it guide you, not with force, but with faith. Leave a comment below: I'm feeling the shift. Let that be your way of acknowledging what's moving through you. When you name it, you claim it. And when you claim it, the universe listens. Because transformation isn't something that happens to you, it's something that awakens from within. And Leo, your time has come. If you've made it here, Leo, then chances are something inside you has already started to shift. And as that inner shift gains momentum, you're being invited into one of the hardest but most powerful parts of your journey, learning to let go before you move forward. It might sound simple on paper, but in real life, letting go can feel like pulling roots from the earth. Not because you're weak, but because what once grounded you has also been what quietly held you back. That's the paradox, isn't it? Sometimes, what once nourished you becomes the very thing that restricts your growth. This part of the path is personal. It's not about packing physical bags or organizing your calendar. It's about sorting through the emotional and energetic weight you've been carrying, some of it for years, even lifetimes. There are people in your life who, at one point, were soul-aligned companions. But lately, something's felt off. The connection feels one-sided, or maybe just hollow. And it's not about blame. It's about resonance. Not everyone is meant to walk with you into every version of your evolution. Some relationships aren't ending theories, simply completing. Then there are the habits. Those small, daily things that seem harmless but slowly chip away at your belief in yourself. The way you apologize for taking up space. The way you tell yourself you'll start tomorrow. The way you downplay your dreams to make others more comfortable. These patterns don't break themselves. They wait for you to see them clearly, then choose differently. And underneath it all is the most stubborn passenger of all, fear. Fear of failing. Fear of succeeding. Fear of not being enough. Fear of being too much. Fear of being alone. These are the heavy bricks many of us unknowingly pack into the suitcase of our future. But Leo, here's the truth. Your destiny doesn't have room for that kind of weight. You're not stepping into something small. You're stepping into a space that was tailor-made for the full expression of who you are. That means it requires you to show up as your whole self, not the version that's diluted for others' comfort. So here's something practical, something I've personally done and often recommend. Grab a notebook. Write down 3 things that make your chest feel heavy right now. Be honest. No filters. These can be names, behaviors, memories, obligations. Just name them. When you're done, sit with each one. Ask yourself, does this help me become more of who I'm meant to be? If the answer is no, it's time to release it. Not with force. With permission. Say it aloud if you can. I allow myself to be released from what no longer serves my soul. Words matter. They're more than sound theory, energy in motion. On an energetic level, what you're doing is creating space in the heart chakra center for love, courage, and trust. And in the solar plexus, the seat of your personal power and identity. Letting go is like unzipping a jacket you didn't realize you were wearing in the middle of summer. It might have kept you warm once. Now it's keeping you from breathing. You can support your body as you move through this. Drink warm water throughout the day. Hydration helps emotions move. Magnesium and vitamin B support the nervous system when anxiety kicks up. Add more fiber to your meals, not because it's trendy, but because your gut and your mind are in constant conversation. When your digestion is smooth, your thoughts flow easier, too. You're not purging for the sake of pain. You're creating lightness. Space. A clean inner canvas. Because what's coming next needs somewhere to land, and the more you release, the more clearly you'll hear the next steps. You don't have to rush. Just begin. Let the act of releasing be a declaration: I am ready to travel lighter. And if you feel that truth, say it in the comments: I am ready to travel lighter. Your words are seeds. Plant them. Water them. Let them grow into the future you've been secretly longing for. There's something deeply unsettling about not knowing where you're going. Most of us are wired to crave a plan, a map, a schedule, a sense of control. So when life begins nudging you into territory where there are no clear directions, where nothing looks familiar, it's natural to panic a little. But Leo, what if I told you that this uncertainty isn't here to break you? What if it's training you to lead with something much stronger than certainty or inner compass? Up until now, you may have built your decisions around logic, patterns, even the expectations of others. But as you step into this new chapter, those external anchors aren't going to work the way they used to. The universe is shifting your attention inward. This isn't about plotting your path step by step. It's about feeling your way forward. And yes, I know how scary that can sound. When you're used to having a plan, moving by intuition feels reckless. But in truth, it's one of the most sacred skills your soul is learning right now. Think of it like this: imagine a lion that's been kept in a cage for most of its life. The door swings open one day, and the wild is calling. But freedom doesn't always feel free right away. It can feel overwhelming, even terrifying. That lion doesn't bolt. It pauses. It listens. It senses. It relearns how to move without boundaries. That's you right now. You're remembering how to move from instinct, from trust, from presence. Astrologically, moments like this often come when we're in a transition between Saturn's structure and Neptune's mystery. When cosmic energy shifts from the outer world of control to the inner world of faith. Your path is not blocked, Leo, it's simply hidden until you begin walking. That's how the law of attraction works in this stage. It responds not to certainty but to surrender. It's in the moment you release your grip on the how that the magic of the what begins to unfold. So if you feel like you're walking through fog right now, that's okay. You don't need to see the entire staircase, just the next step. Sometimes, the universe withholds details not to punish you, but to protect the purity of your process. When you're too focused on outcomes, you miss the quiet wisdom in detours, the growth that comes from wandering. Not all who wander are lost. And not all who are still are stuck. One of the hardest truths I've had to learn, and one I've seen time and time again with those I guide, is that life doesn't promise clarity before commitment. In fact, it often asks for your leap before it reveals the net. That's not recklessness. That's divine timing. That's faith in motion. So I'll ask you something simple, but profound. Can you keep walking without a map? Can you trust that even if you can't see the destination, your soul can? If so, then you're not lost, you're realigned. And if you're not there yet, that's okay too. Learning to trust the invisible is like strengthening a muscle. It takes practice. It takes patience. And most of all, it takes presence. If you're in that space right now where you don't know what's next but you feel something shifting, say it out loud or write it in the comments below. I trust my journey. Let that be your declaration. Let it be your anchor. Because sometimes, the most courageous thing you can do is keep moving even when the road disappears beneath your feet. And Leo, you were born with the fire to light your own way. By now, Leo, you've likely begun to understand that this next chapter of your life isn't one you're meant to walk alone. Even though the transition may feel isolating at times, like you're drifting from the people who once knew you best, what's really happening is a sacred realignment. You're not being abandoned. You're being positioned. And the truth is, some of the most important connections of your life haven't even arrived yet. But they're on their way. In fact, they've already been set in motion. There are people out there right now whose paths are being redirected to meet yours. People who carry a piece of the puzzle you've been trying to solve. People whose souls vibrate at a frequency that resonates with the version of you you're just now becoming. This isn't some whimsical idea, it's an energetic reality. As your vibration rises, so does your ability to attract those who are truly aligned. These aren't just friendships or love interests. These are soul contracts. Pre-written alignments. The kind of connections that feel like recognition, not introduction. You'll know them when you feel them. Maybe it'll happen in an unexpected conversation that leaves your skin tingling. Maybe it'll be the way someone says something you didn't even realize you needed to hear. Maybe it'll just be a glance across a room and a quiet, inner knowing, there you are. Don't overthink it. Energy recognizes energy long before logic catches up. From a cosmic perspective, this type of alignment often happens when Neptune or Uranus aspects your personal planets. These transits dissolve the old boundaries of perception and open the spiritual senses to new resonance. Combined with the heart-centered courage of your Leo essence, it becomes the perfect storm for soul-level recognition. You don't need to chase these people. Just stay open. Stay honest. Stay connected to your truth and they'll find you in it. In the tarot, the star is often the card that represents this kind of divine placement. It's the light after the breakdown, the reminder that even in the aftermath of loss or confusion, you are being guided. That your healing is making space for something bigger than you imagined. That the people who are coming into your life now aren't coming to rescue you but to walk beside you as you rise. And in that same spirit, it's worth saying, don't look for love or connection to save you. That kind of search almost always leads to more pain. Instead, let love be the overflow of your wholeness. When you're anchored in yourself, the love that finds you will match that depth. You won't need to shrink or stretch to fit. You'll just belong. This doesn't mean you won't still encounter people who feel familiar but aren't meant to stay. Sometimes the universe sends a mirror before it sends a match. Pay attention. Listen to how your body responds. The truth always speaks through sensation before it forms into words. And Leo, you were never meant to carry your dreams alone. As strong as you are, even the fiercest lion moves best with its pride. If you've been wondering whether your people are out there, whether the real connections are still possible, let this be your answer. They are. They've been waiting too. They're looking for someone just like you, someone brave enough to rise and real enough to be seen. So if you're starting to sense that new people are on the horizon, if you're feeling more discerning with who you let close, comment below, I am ready to meet who's meant for me. Speak it into the space. Not because you're desperate but because you're aligned. And alignment always attracts what belongs. There's something no one really prepares you for when you begin a spiritual or energetic transformation. How bittersweet it feels to say goodbye to things that once meant everything to you. And not just people, Leo. Sometimes it's the version of yourself you've carried for years. Sometimes it's the city you thought you'd grow old in. The job you built your identity around. The routines that gave you a sense of control. Even the memories, especially the memories, can be the hardest to part with. But here's what I've learned, both personally and from guiding others: releasing doesn't mean rejecting. It means recognizing that what once sustained you is no longer aligned with who you are becoming. This part of your journey isn't about erasing the past. It's about honoring it. Think of it like pruning a tree, not because you're punishing it, but because you want to help it grow stronger, taller, and healthier. There's no shame in letting go of what's finished. If anything, it's a deeply respectful act. You're allowing that chapter to close with gratitude instead of resentment, and that shifts everything. When you give something a loving goodbye, you free both yourself and the energy tied to it. That's not failure. That's closure. So how do you do this in a way that doesn't feel like ripping yourself apart? One practice I return to over and over is what I call a sacred goodbye. It's simple, but powerful. You write a letter not to a person, necessarily, but to the season of life you're releasing. You can thank it for what it taught you, even the hard parts. You can say all the things you never got to say. And then, if it feels right, you burn it. Not in anger, but in reverence. Let the smoke carry your release into the sky. Let the act mark a new beginning. Energetically, this type of intentional closure works like clearing space in your field. It's like finally putting old boxes out of your emotional attic. You make room for what's meant to arrive next. If you're still holding on to the weight of what was, there's no space for the blessings that want to come in. That's why this step matters so much. You can't receive fully if you're still clutching the past with both hands. And yes, even the physical world responds to these shifts. Take time to clear out drawers, delete old files, sort through your financial papers. Sometimes our emotional clutter hides in the material things we keep out of habit. Look at your bank statements. Are you still investing emotionally or literally in places that no longer nourish you? Maybe it's time to close accounts, end subscriptions, release ties to businesses or relationships that no longer reflect your values. These aren't just financial tasks, they're symbolic actions. Every form of letting go tells the universe, I'm ready to move forward with clarity. This isn't just about detachment, it's about realignment. Because every time you let go of something that's expired, you make space for something that's alive. And that's what you deserve, Leo. Not just survival. Not just sentiment. But a life that matches the person you've worked so hard to become. If this part of the journey resonates with you, if you've been sensing that it's time to let something go, but you've been afraid to release it, take a moment and write in the comments, I bless what I release. Let it be your declaration. Your anchor. Your goodbye wrapped in grace. Because you're not turning your back on your past. You're turning your face toward the future that's already calling your name. Leo, if you've made it all the way to this moment, take a breath. You didn't just watch a video, you walked through a threshold. And what you've just experienced wasn't just content, it was a mirror. A reflection of what your soul has been whispering for a while now, that it's time to rise, to release, to relocate, not because you're lost, but because you're ready. You're not running away. You're flying home. Not back to who you were, but forward into who you've always been meant to become. It's easy to think that transformation has to be loud or dramatic. But often, the most powerful shifts begin in silence, in the quiet decision to no longer abandon yourself. In choosing to trust the nudge, the longing, the discomfort, instead of numbing it. That choice? That's courage. That's alignment. That's you showing up. And so, before you go, I want to remind you of something you might have forgotten in all the noise. You don't need anyone's permission to live a new life. You are not waiting to be chosen. You are not here to be tolerated. You are the gate. You are the light. And when you finally walk through, the world will rearrange itself around your yes. That's how energy works. That's how destiny unfolds, not by force, but by frequency. And Leo, your frequency is rising. So let me ask you, what's one thing you're willing to release after this? What's one small step you can take today, not next week, that says, I'm choosing to trust my path? Is it a conversation you need to have? A habit you're ready to break? A space you're finally ready to leave? Write it down. Say it out loud. Or better yet, share it in the comments below and say, I'm ready for my divine journey. Let your truth be seen, because when you speak it, you solidify it. And when others see your courage, they remember their own. You don't need to rush. You just need to begin. And if you feel like this message reached you at the exact right time, that's because it did. You didn't find this video. It found you. This is your confirmation. Your sign. And if you're still here, I want to thank you not just for watching, but for showing up for yourself. Every like, every comment, every time you subscribe or share this space with someone else, you're not just supporting eternal mindfulness, you're helping co-create a sanctuary for transformation, one soul at a time. Let this be your gentle reminder, your destiny isn't waiting for you to become perfect. It's waiting for you to become present. So stay close to this energy. Rewatch the video when you feel off track. Anchor what resonates. Reflect. Release. Rise. And remember, Leo, you're not walking away from something. You're walking toward everything that was written for you all along. Now are you ready to say yes to the next version of you? Leave your answer below. Let it echo into the field. And if this message spoke to something deep in you, like, subscribe, and share it with someone else who needs this reminder too. Because the more we awaken together, the brighter we all become. You're not here by accident. You're here because something sacred is unfolding. And it's your time to live it. Fully. Finally. Unapologetically. This is eternal mindfulness. And this is the beginning.